Hey guys, welcome back, John Megacycle here, another episode of Command & Conquer 3, Kane's Wrath. How you doing? Hope you're doing alright. I'm excited for this. I haven't cracked open C&C3 in a while, and yeah, I just did an episode, and now I'm doing another one. It's really cool to get back into. Old strategy games for me, I don't know if this is for anyone else, but for me it's like an old friend kind of a thing. It's like, I knew all the mechanics, I knew how to play it, and now I'm coming back to it, and it's like, oh man, I remember this, and that unit, and the aircraft thing, and the infantry, and then the super weapons, and the mechanics. It just, when it's perfect and it's dialed in, at least for me, I like it a lot, and it's just great to come back to one of these older games. And C&C3 is still one of my favorites, so I'll come back to it any day of the week. Anyway, I just did a nod mission, and now I'm going to do the same for GDI. When you think of the Global Defense Initiative really as a faction, the way it really sells itself is it's an armor, unstoppable juggernaut, but the way the GDI gets funding is through the United Nations or whatever governmental structure is in, that realm of the game. Now, the good thing about that is Global Defense Initiative is usually backed by most civilized nations, which usually means a good amount of funding. The problem with that is it's a load of bureaucracy. So there are certain missions you'll play where it's low funds, or the base is in shambles, or there's just a whole bunch of red tape that has to be cut, and you've really got to get your chips together so you can actually afford the big army to do the job in the first place. Nod specializes in the rush tactics, in my opinion. Seeing GDI as a rush player is an interesting thing for me. It's almost like a yin-yang kind of a thing. It's kind of cool to see Nod with a really heavy tank army. That's cool. That's not usually a norm the way Nod is sold. Same thing with GDI. It's really neat seeing a bunch of little units, a lot of little cheap stuff kind of a thing, really tear an enemy apart. Anyway, long story short, what I wanted to show you is the GDI equivalent of this rush tactic. Now, when I did the AI personalities, the rush tactic, way back when, in my early YouTuber career, I did it as Nod. I built a bunch of random stuff, I put it all in a ball, and I threw it at the enemy as hard as I could. Now, I did a different tactic using flame tanks. For GDI, we're kind of going to go with that first theory, but I wanted to at least demonstrate that the Global Defense Initiative Army can be as versatile through the rusher. It might take a little longer, but I think I'm just going to demonstrate.
Building.
It's good to be back. GDI is by and large one of my favorite factions.
Construction
Maybe it's the lawful neutral in my head or whatever, but I don't know what it is about it. It's just efficient, technology, clean, it's nice, it's just, I like it. And of course I kind of use the word efficient with a grain of salt, considering, like I said, the way they get their funding is not really so efficient. But the seal of the Global Defense Initiative usually assures power. That's usually demonstrated with the heaviest of armaments, the GDI Mammoth tank, which is an iconic piece of machinery you can't really say no to. Now, if you saw the Nod video, we're going to kind of take this in the exact same manner. Kinda exact, I'm not using the words too right, but whatever. We're going to go refinery. Now, war factory. Once we have the war factory, we're going to crank out a couple of harvesters so we can make sure our economy is top-notch. That's the emphasis. We want that top-notch economy so that way if our attack falters, we're not going to be crying too hard. There we go. 2 halves.
Construction complete.
Now, this is going to be a little bit different. We're not going to use just one unit. What we're going to use is we're going to use the APCs and the rocket infantry. Now, that makes our units a little more expensive and a little more difficult to produce because it's a culmination of units. However, the benefit of that is it makes our units more versatile. Back when we were messing with the flame tank, I did mention that if any moment came with some aircraft, that could really be problematic for us because we have no way to defend against that. In this case, the APC filled with a missile infantry, or is it missile squad, the benefit of that is we get anti-air, anti-infantry, and anti-structure. So we're diversifying our attack pool. Now that that's going, we're going to start building these guys in little chunks. and I'm not doing too well with the manipulation of my harvesters. So this is actually a better example of what I tried to explain before. That we want to make sure that we have an emphasis and that we're concentrating on it. Right now it's our economy. We're not producing anything. I need this second refinery online.
Construction complete.
Yes, sir. Resuming
Nope, over
harvesting
here.
routes. Hatch sealed.
Yep.
Missile squad ready for combat.
Now I usually start with about 5 of each. We're really just going to take missile infantry or the missile squads, put them in APCs. APCs are built with fire ports, which allow the missile infantry to shoot from it. That's the key. That's the kicker right there.
Return to docking
ready for
station.
combat. Launchers ready.
APC, what's the plan? Personnel carrier. APC, ready for combat.
Missile squad
Listen up,
ready for
missile
combat.
Yeah, this
you
gets a little more micromanagey, but again, it's a fair cost, I believe, because our attack is going to be more versatile.
Personnel carrier.
It's not going to have nearly as much punch against structures. It's going to take a
APC
little
ready for
longer to
combat.
deal the same amount of damage, but
Training.
I still think that's a
Ready when
cost
you
that's
are.
worthwhile.
Right away.
We're going to get 6. I changed my mind. We're going to get
Missile
6 out
squad ready
here.
for combat.
APC, ready for combat.
I'm still
Listen
kind of
up,
doing
missile
these guys a
squad.
little hit
What's the
miss.
plan?
Squad ready for
But there's our
combat.
6.
Standing by.
So,
Hang on.
let's make sure that your aggressive stance is set. I set up the Q with Alt. Let's make sure the aggressive stance is set in the
Missile
factories.
squad ready for
APC, what's
combat.
the plan? APC, ready for combat. Ready when you are. Operations underway.
Now, we're still cranking out guys. We're not worried about defense whatsoever. We're just going to set this a little high, let that automate a little bit, make sure that we've got another
Listen up,
counterattack
missile squad.
ready to
Missile
go.
squad ready for
When we have
combat.
these
Personnel
3,
carrier.
I'm going to start to
APC, ready for
supplement
combat.
that attack.
Missile squad ready for combat.
Insufficient
APC
funds.
standing by. APC,
Okay,
what's the
go,
plan?
go, go, go.
APC
Speed
standing
is our
by.
key. If we dawdle too
APC,
long,
what's
we're
the
not
plan?
going to have that killer edge.
APC standing by.
Now, I believe we set this up against
APC,
Nod.
APC
We'll do this
combat.
against the Scrin in a second.
APC standing
But we've
by.
got our primary attack moving in,
Ready
and
when
we've
you
got
are.
a secondary attack coming with.
Commander, APC, ready for
Enemy
combat.
units
Right there!
There, see, not nearly as quick to damage as the flame tanks, but we still have anti-infantry and anti-air that comes with that. It's a nice combination. Now, the APCs themselves have a fair amount of armor. They're not tanks at all.
Ready when you are.
But
Right away.
because we've supplemented them with the missile squads, they'll be able to work over tanks.
We have
Just,
contact,
of course,
sir.
not nearly as
Take 'em out.
effective. Yeah, again, this isn't going to give us our grand finale finisher of a mega kill that's quick and dirty,
Personnel carrier.
but this will certainly do the job for effectiveness. APCs, I feel, are really good occupation troops. Again, they cover several roles. Again, the anti-air, which I'm going to say about 30 bajillion more times. But of course, since you put zone troopers in them, they make an excellent force. And here we go.
Yes, sir.
Plenty of
Keep
guys ready to go. Let's see, can I do this?
Personnel carrier.
Oh, look at that. Totally with Alt, you can
have
queue
contact, sir.
movements for infantry.
We're coming.
Since we have these APCs in aggressive stance, they'll just sit there and attack on everything. We don't have to micromanage.
hang on.
We're going to move over a second
transit.
fleet of APCs, and of course, we're going to keep cranking out units as if we're
Training.
losing. The last thing we need is an enemy to just pop in here and kill us, so we're going to start working on defense. Even though I said it wasn't our
Construction
focus,
complete.
nothing hurts to have a few structures going.
Ready for combat.
While that's going, we certainly... Oh,
Operations
hang
underway.
on.
Clear, Commander.
Hang on, you dorks.
Combat.
APC, what's the plan? We're coming.
Frickin'... Somebody lost a bet.
Stay on them! Fire! Let's make this quick! Confirmed. Hang on.
You move there.
Squad ready
APC
for
standing by.
combat.
Rank 2. Investigate. Very good.
APC,
Enemy
ready for
units
combat.
Ready for combat.
Building.
Oh. Oh.
We have
Building.
contact, sir!
I did Control A, which is the hotkey to upgrade my power plants. You know what's funny about upgrading my power plants? I need an operations center to upgrade my power plants. I don't have one. Or is it a radar? No, it's a command post.
Combat.
Stay on them!
Operations center is not.
sir!
We're still cranking out troops. We still have another whole army just waiting. And that's one of the nice things about not worrying about defense. All those defense bucks, we've already got allocated to another army.
Park it there.
Which means we're never truly defenseless.
Stay on them!
Insufficient
Let's
funds.
make them
I'm
out!
sure our harvesters have moved over to the blue stuff. I'm sure we've run out of green.
Enemy
Doesn't matter.
You are
Perfect.
victorious.
I want to see how many units we've created. Because we almost act Scrin-like with this swarm of stuff. And it's a different mentality for Global Defense Initiative. Let's see. Yep, they had more structures. That's fine. That wasn't our emphasis at all. Again, mass produce. Make sure that our economy's on tight, on point, and perfect. Look at that. They almost outproduced us in money, but we allocated ours properly. if you noticed as we were attacking, they really emphasized higher tech. They went through and they did the whatever structure allows them to build the Mega Nod unit. Yeah, assimilator? Ah, crud, I can't think of it. But they went ahead and they teched up. We stopped really short on the tech tree. All we really built was a war factory and a barracks. That was it. We didn't have any of our special abilities as GDI, none of our command units. We didn't have anything. And that's what really makes this rusher tactic work out nice. So that was not. So let's do this as against the Scrin. I'm an equal opportunity strategist, I guess. I'm not an employer, and that's usually where the phrase comes through. Equal opportunity employer. Sigh. Okay, here we go.
Building.
Same thing. Power plant, refinery, war factory, power plant, and of course, it's depending on what faction you're playing, that build order is different. The Global Defense Initiative power plants produce more energy than the Nod ones. It's just how it works. I'm not too sure why that's a mechanic. I actually believe their power plants are a little cheaper, though. So it kind of makes sense. It actually adds to the rusher capability. It's not that big of a deal if the Nod power plants are cheaper and produce less power, because you want to save that money. But, of course, from my perspective, I'd rather only build 2 power plants and call it a day.
Construction complete. New construction options. Building.
Another thing you'll notice as the rusher is what I do is I keep my base really tight together. I try to not spread it out really far. And the reason is if ever I need to switch to a defensive mode, if my rush ever fails, I need to make sure I can defend as much of my base as possible with as few structures, because I'm not going to have a bunch of time to lollygag and rebuild all my defense.
Training. Building. On hold. Cancel.
This way.
Building.
We're going to wait on that barracks. I think I kind of messed up with my build order the first time, building that barracks first.
Construction complete. Building.
Nope.
Building in progress. Cancel.
Aggressive stance, please.
Let's get to that tip zone.
If you're not familiar with the stances, what that really says is what does the AI of the unit do under certain circumstances. Aggressive stance ensures that the units will attack enemy structures and units and will pursue attackers. Those are the 2 important things. In the other stances, what they'll do is they'll just stay. They won't pursue. So if you put these guys in a bunch of area where there's enemy structures, they'll just stare at them. They won't do anything. That's the guard stance or the hold ground stance, depending on which one you have for default. But for me, it's always aggressive. The aggressive stance. Every time. So if you set that on a structure, every unit that comes out of it will have that stance. Okay, so this is working nice.
Construction complete. New construction options.
We're going to give it just a second to build up because I'm just going to get choked.
Training.
There's that.
Training.
Common point.
APC ready for combat.
Very good. And I think this is already pretty streamlined. We are going to want that 5th harvester, but we're not going to worry about it right now. We want to make sure that we have something to not only attack with, but also defend. Again, this whole thing could go wash. If they attack us first with a heavier force, we at least have something to defend ourselves. So instead of building a bunch of guard towers, we're going this route. So we're going to go for 6 like we did before. I think that's a fair, safe number.
Ready when you are. Operations underway.
Missile squad ready for combat.
APC ready for combat.
Listen up, missile squad. Missile squad ready for combat.
Okay. I'm going to ignore this for a little while.
APC ready for combat.
There's our 6.
Coming in clear, Commander.
Yep. APC standing by. Commander?
Now, all my concentration is going to be, let's set up this queue.
Right away.
Let's keep it a little tight. And if you didn't see the other video or you're unfamiliar with this map, the reason why I hooked right so wide is because there's a couple of defensive structures here that the enemy may have captured with engineers. And that's not something I really want to contend with. If there's a bunch of base I don't have to fight, I'd rather not fight it, because it would really tear apart my APCs. And that's not good. Okay, we're getting some good sight here. We're going to hook right again on this hill because it kind of puts them where their harvesters are, and that really hits them in the economic. Even if we don't destroy the whole base, that's really a punch in the side that they're not going to be able to bounce back from easily.
What's the plan? Commander?
Excited?
Hang on. Take them out. In transit. Target confirmed. Personnel carrier.
Okay. So now that they're attacking, we're going to be a little mindless here.
APC, what's the plan? Personnel carrier. Hang on.
Missile squad
Let's make it quick.
Insufficient funds.
Yep, once again, not nearly as hard hitting as flame tanks, but certainly bang for the buck worth it.
ABC standing by.
Now,
Hang on.
second wave comes up. We're going to bring them right in behind everyone else.
Stay on them.
APCs are not super duper durable. I mentioned this in the other one. So the reason why I'm not really spreading out super wide with my attack is because of that. I'd rather reinforce my first attack, because there's plenty of room. There's not going to be a whole lot of crowding here, considering there's just going to be missiles flying all over the place.
Let's make this quick. Right away.
Move up. And actually, since we're getting that much visual up, it's very, very smart. You make sure that you watch what the enemy's going to counter with. For the Scrin, the disintegrators are going to be our bane, but the benefit is our APCs have machine guns mounted on the top, so I'm not super worried, but it's still something we need to pay attention to. What the heck is with 6 power plants? What's that all about?
Stay on them.
Now, if we want our guys to watch for enemy units, we can just give them the move order to just have a seat right there. Because they're in aggressive stance, they're going to automatically target the structures and hopefully anything that attacks them. If we gave them the attack order to just attack the MCV, or in this case the drone platform, then they're not going to attack anything else, and that could be really damaging to such light units. Look at this. Look at this. Still cranking out units. That's what counts. The ability to not just tap, the ability to punch, and then punch, and then punch, and then punch. That's what makes a rusher worthwhile as a tactic.
Stay on them. Take them out. Let's make this quick. Give it to them. Hit him! Hit him! Personnel carrier.
Perfect.
Enemy base sighted.
Again, we didn't waste any money on any of our abilities. GDI has some great abilities.
Right away. Ready for combat.
That is just beautiful. All those crazy rockets.
Ready for combat. Commander.
Finish off these harps. Not necessary, but I want to make sure we do an effective cleanup job.
APC ready for
Launchers
combat.
ready. Look alive.
Oh my gosh, so many APCs.
Insufficient funds.
Let's see how that pans out.
Combat.
Okay, I know exactly what they have left. They got some civilian structures up here. So let's do a little smart moving, considering sometimes the AI still gets stuck on ledges and crap. Perfect. Oh! They all got loaded and then they all just evacuate? What the heck? Oh, because the last order I gave was a move order. I get it. So maybe this isn't the most effective way to get dudes into buildings.
Personnel carrier.
Ah, and I just messed up again.
APC standing by. We're coming.
Missile squad reporting.
Okay, so what do we have here? Another 19. That's awesome. And we're sitting on a ton of cash.
Ready when you are.
That's beautiful.
In transit.
Training.
Well, I said that's how we're going to attack.
Training.
That's how we're going to attack. Oop.
Commander.
Now the thing is, these are civilian structures. They're not specifically nod structures, so you just see them derping around a little bit. Sometimes you just got to tell them to attack, and I'm fine with that.
Ready for combat.
Squad ready for combat.
Unit promoted.
Ready when you are.
Ready for combat.
Target there. APC ready for combat.
Yeah, this is
Operations
definitely a
underway.
force to be reckoned with.
Squad ready for combat.
It's funny I say that, because that's usually a nod phrase. Oh,
Commander,
Enemy
APC
defeated.
ready for
And there we
combat.
You are victorious.
so even neat that if you use a different tactic for what a faction is really built as, it's kind of neat the results that you get of it. Yeah, tons of units, 70 units. Again, the main counter is we're trying to produce as many resources as possible. We're not emphasizing costs and structures, but in units to attack with. Yeah, 21 kill death. Awesome. Not a single casualty. And as long as you build the right force and bring the right amount to a battle, you might not lose any forces ever. But that's one of the things about a real-time strategy game. Everyone's got their own tactics, their own skills, their own methods, and that's what really makes it interesting. Awesome. Yeah, favorite unit, Harvester. This had to have been a turtle to really ramp up that hard. But either way, moving quick, build the right stuff, strike them hard, and then keep striking. That's all you got to do, especially if you're playing that rusher tactic. So either way, thanks a bunch for watching, guys. Totally appreciate it. Have a good one. I'll catch you next time.